ladies and gentlemen, Gungans and droids across the galaxy, we got news today in regard to Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. Now, before we get going, we know that this past week in Galaxy Heroes has been one of the most stressful and probably the lowest points in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes history. We have a lot to break down today. We're going to kind of go about this video as if nothing happened the past week, at least the first part. Towards the end of the video, you and I are going to have a more personal conversation about how we're going to move going forward, because we can't let Capital Games win and keep ruining our experience with Galaxy Heroes. And we need to keep having our own fun, despite what Capital Games does to me, as well as probably the decisions they do moving forward. We're going to have that conversation more towards the end of the video, but we can't just keep being downtrodden in the press doing these videos. So we're going to just go about the first part of this video in our normal fashion, and then we're going to have that serious discussion towards the end of the video right here, because Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, there's some upsides and downsides. It's the downsides, 3-day notice, some really bad characters you got to relic up, and it looks like they know you've been hoarding your guild event token currency for gas or Malik, especially for those who do not have those characters yet. Well, now they're going to make sure you empty out those guild event token currency deposits that you might have even more. So I'll emphasize why I bring that up more towards the later part of this video. But let's go about it. Let's read these requirements and then get into the kit reveal and then try to guess, is this going to be anywhere competitive to Galactic Legends from June 18th to June 25th, which starts in, basically less than 3 days. At this point, take on the Empire at Hoth, the feature greatest heroes on Dagobah, and face your final test against your father on Cloud City to earn a 7-star Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. Now, they dubbed this event The Journey Continues, so it's not a hero's journey like Commander Luke Skywalker initially was. They call this the Journey Continues event for Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, and it will take you through Luke's quest to become a Jedi Knight in The Empire Strikes Back. Not quite Empire Strikes Back celebration still, in my opinion. We don't really see this Luke Skywalker until ROTJ, Return of the Jedi. We're not going to get into that conversation right now. We'll read the kit reveal in a moment. Some really interesting things, some abilities that kind of give me a strategic advantage type of vibe from Jedi Knight Revan, and a very interesting thing which is meant to counter speed-based teams. So if you have fast mods in your character, Luke is meant to try to nullify that a little bit. We'll get into that in a moment. What are requirements looking like? Well, not all these are horrible. Some of these are horrible, and then there's some very questionable ones. So the good thing is, Commander Luke, great character already. A lot of people already have those at least geared up to some extent. Let's skip the rest for now. Chewbacca, great character. We use him for a lot of stuff. C-3PO, plug and play, light side character. Now we get to the other stuff. Rebel Officer Leia Organa, Captain Han Solo, Lando Calrissian, mediocre characters at best. Darth Vader, people might have geared him up for the ship, maybe for a Sith team. Darth Vader himself, we can kind of say mediocre plus character in this game. Without a rework or without a meaningful Empire team that really takes advantage of him, not really a promising character to gear up. And then, here's, I think, the biggest kicker. Wampa and Hermit Yoda. Now, fun fact, we know developers like to backtrack at a lot of the stuff they say, so it shouldn't be too surprising. Way back when Hermit Yoda came out, they actually said that Hermit Yoda would not be needed for any sort of legendary events. Well, sorry about that, Chief. The deal has been altered. Let's pray it doesn't get altered any further. Hermit Yoda, Wampa, you got to 7-star them. And then all these characters you got to take up to Relic 3. So it's not as insane as the Galactic Legends. Of course, the people aren't going to know what relic should they shoot for this event. Maybe Relic 3 is minimum, but you're really going to need like Relic 7 to get these events done. So this is why we got to have this conversation towards the end, because I know a lot of people rely on this channel to prepare in the future, know how good a character is, whether you should be spending your Wampa or your currency for Wampa and Hermit Yoda or saving it for gas and Malik. This is why we have to have a conversation towards the end, because I don't want Capital Games ruining our experience and then ruining your guys' future planning, because let's be honest, not a lot of people are going to get this in the first week here. And if you're going to get it the second or third time around, you want to know how good the character is, and you're also going to want to know, should you be going through these requirements? That's the tough part. Hermit Yoda, Wampa, solid characters, and Hermit Yoda looks like might be helpful for when Jedi Knight Luke does come out. And then you're going to need a 7-star Capital ship, 7-star Han's Millennium Falcon, and a 7-star Wedge Antilles. So that's not that big of a deal. And then here we go. Jedi Knight Luke's event will return in the future and will later be added permanently to the Journey Guide approximately a year after release. So these are the developers' words way back when they said in an interview that Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker is going to look like it's the end of Galaxy of Heroes. And a lot of people were concerned when we got that announcement on Friday that the game is getting close to ending. Now, I said I'm leaning towards the side that the game is not going to end anytime soon, because it's making so much money with putting little effort in the game right now, and even little effort in terms of just talking with the community. So just looking at this, if they're prepared to add this character a year after releasing the Journey Guide, I'm guessing this is the indirect answer to our question if the game is not ending within a month. So moving on to the kit reveal, and then we'll have our serious talk here. In some ways a simple kit, and in some ways, you know, people are gonna be like, is this actually gonna be anything useful to compare to Galactic Legends? Because Rey and Kylo are god tier characters in this game. And originally, again, way back when, kind of like the Hermit Yoda comment I mentioned a second ago, they said that Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker has to be the most powerful character in the game back then. I am not holding them to those comments way back when, but I don't know if he's going to be the greatest character in the game. He's going to be solid for sure. And at the minimum, I see him being useful with Jedi to counter Galactic Legends. Right now, Jedi are already soft counters with a bit of margin error there, but Luke might close that error a little bit more, that margin of error even smaller, because he has a lot of powerful Jedi tools in his kit. He's an attacker. He's got the Jedi team, Jedi tag. He's got all the lovely little abilities in his leadership ability that really brings us to an interesting level for theory crafting potential. So stalwart Jedi hero of legend who ascends to victorious heights alongside his Jedi allies through the will of the Force. So basic, prevailing strike, dispel all buffs and deal physical damage to a target enemy, then reduce their critical damage by 10% stacking. Now I don't know really if this is going to be super effective compared to like Kylo. His stats drastically ramp up much faster than getting reduced by 10%. So I'm not sure this is really going to affect him much, but definitely other teams that rely on critical damage, Darth Vader, for example, this might hurt them quite a lot. Then Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker gains 10% max protection to a maximum of 100% until the end of the encounter, and this ability cannot be countered. Moving on, Stalwart Advance, a cooldown of 3 here. Deal physical damage to target enemy, and then call another target ally to assist. Then the target enemy is inflicted with blind for 2 turns. Now, don't overlook blind. We're right now thinking Luke versus Galactic Legends. What's the importance of all this? What's blind, for example, I am seeing you're going to want to use that blind on the Galactic Legends, like Kylo. When he uses his basic or AoE, you want to try to avoid it as much as possible. So maybe blind might be able to mitigate those attacks from the Galactic Legends coming onto you. And then what we have next is Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker gains Jedi's Will for 2 turns, which is kind of like a Grandmaster's Training 2.0, which is why I said you're going to have to gear up Hermit Yoda, but I think he's going to be useful beyond just event. I mean, he already is. That's nothing new. So he's going to gain Jedi's Will for 2 turns, which can't be dispelled, copied, or prevented. If the other target is an ally who is not Old Republic, they also gain Jedi's Will for 2 turns. 100% counter chance, that's big. 25% offense, 25% speed, and ignore and all attacks ignore defense. Now pair that up with Grandmaster's Training, Jedi's Will. Your Jedi should be putting out obscene, absurd amounts of damage onto the opposing team, and 25% extra speed is pretty darn huge. Moving on, I know we have to kind of get us going here, but that right there, I don't want to undermine. Jedi's Will and Grandmaster's Training is going to be a very powerful combo moving forward. And then next, and the last special ability, I should say, Repulse, cooldown of 5, inflicts stun for 1 turn and vulnerable for 2 turns, kind of like Resistance Hero Poe. He's got vulnerable, which basically guarantees you a critical hit until the end of the encounter, and all enemies lose 10% max health and protection, and it caps out at a maximum of 50% reduction. Repulse on raid bosses deal damage 3 times and vulnerable for 2 turns, and this ability can't be evaded or resisted, so it should be a guaranteed stun basically, and guaranteed vulnerability right there, and you should be able to be guaranteed to reduce those stats right there. Solid ability, probably going to be a big hitting attack if I had to guess. And then lastly, this looks kind of like a plastic toy Luke Skywalker. So anyways, moving on, we're not going to talk about art. It doesn't lead us to anything useful in this game when we bring up that conversation, except sadness. Only 2 Zetas on Jedi Knight Luke. That is a highlight. The requirements I'm not a big fan of, really, and the short-term notice, of course. But 2 Zetas, it's a breath of fresh air compared to our several Zetas for Skywalker, and then 6 Zetas for Rey and Kylo. Yuck, 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 yuck. Which makes me think if this is not going to be a crazy Zeta character like Rey and Kylo, maybe we shouldn't expect Luke to be as competitive. Again, I don't want to put that statement out there. So here we go. With Jedi Knight's Resolve, 1 unique ability, 1 Zeta here. Each time Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker is damaged, he gains 5% Terminator and 5% offense, stacks up to a maximum of 25% until he uses Prevailing Strike on his turn. His basic, when he attacks out of turn or is critically hit, he gains 2 speed with a cap of 20 until the end of the encounter. Not a huge bump. Again, unfortunately, we don't have the stats for Jedi Knight Luke. Maybe he's going to have a really high base speed. Hard to say at the moment. And then at the end of each other Jedi ally's turn, excluding Old Republic Jedi, they don't want you using Luke, it looks like. With Old Republic, especially Jedi Knight Revan, Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker gains 10% Terminator. Now, that's pretty big, except for the fact that maybe Hux, if someone's going to use Hux with the Kylo Ren, well, that nullifies that ability right there. And then Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker is immune to stun or fear, so if you had concerns that Kylo Ren's going to stun this character to oblivion, that's not going to be the case. And if you were concerned that Darth Vader's going to fear this character, we're good. That's all taken care of. I'm assuming no problem against Sith Empire at the minimum. You would hope at this point. And then leader, Zeta, the Return of the Jedi. This is really, really wonky. I'm going to try my best to explain it. Firstly, all light side allies have plus 15% critical chance, 15% critical damage, doubled for Jedi, so 30% critical chance, 30% critical damage. And when you pair that with the Jedi's Will and then Grandmaster's Training, whew, they should be hitting pretty darn hard. What we have here is really interesting. At the start of each of Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker's turns, all enemies are reduced to his base speed until the end of the encounter, and their speed can't be manipulated after their speed is set. This base value is recorded at the start of the encounter before any buffs or debuffs are applied, and the leader ability does not affect raid boss and does not activate if the enemy side also has a similar ability, aka Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker or Galactic Legend. So this isn't going to be affecting Kylo or Rey, or if there's another Luke on the opposing team. And at the start of the encounter, all Jedis, excluding Old Republic, sorry Jedi Knight Revan, gain the granted ability Hero's Rise. Now before we read Hero's Rise, I kind of want to just read this real quick to kind of discuss this a little bit. Jedi Knight Luke's most unique skill is his leader ability, by far, Return of the Jedi, which reduces his enemy speed to his base speed at the start of his turn. So what they say here is the speed reduction effect does not occur at the start of the battle. So you have to wait till Luke takes a turn for it to finally happen, and only when Luke takes his first turn, and then it's reapplied every turn he takes after that. So slower enemy characters will have their speed increase. So the way I understand this, my interpretation might be completely off. I have one of two interpretations. Let's say Luke's speed, base speed is, I don't know, let's just make up a number, 150. So when Luke takes a turn, all the enemies except Galactic Legends opposing Luke's yada, yada, yada will be set to 150. Now, my assumption is that either one, they're going to stay at 150 for the rest of the battle, or two, they're just going to stay at 150 for a little bit until Luke's turn ends. Either way, the point being is that teams that rely on crazy high speed, like Captain Rex, for example, or people juiced up Darth Revans, they're going to have a huge disadvantage. Once Luke takes his turn, they're going to be knocked down quite a few pegs. So speed mods are being directly attacked here. It's kind of mean. It's kind of mean. I mean, we know speed mods are way too good in this game. Luke is going to have something to say about that. So really, enjoy all your initial turns you get before Jedi Knight Luke, Captain Rex giving the bonus Terminator out and whatnot. But once Luke takes a turn, your team is going to be slow as molasses, it seems like. Again, we have to have gameplay to fully understand it. And then Heroes Arise also comes with the leader ability. Gives me a strategic advantage type of vibe from the Jedi Knight Revan lead. This spell all deals on all allies, not just the target ally, like strategic advantage. Then you call all Jedi allies to assist, not like Jedi Knight Revan, where you only call the targeted Jedi to assist, dealing 20% less damage. And all Jedi allies, excluding Old Republic, sorry Revan, recover 25% health and protection. And that right there is kind of like a Jedi Knight Revan lead, and gain Jedi's Will for 2 turns. Then Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker is granted 100% turn meter. Whew. I'm guessing Hux, Zeta will counter that. We're thinking in terms of Galactic Legends competitiveness. But wow, that's a lot right there. That right there is a leader ability in it of itself. And this ability is on a shared cooldown between allies who have Heroes Arise and is immune to cooldown manipulation. It has a cooldown of 10. So it's not going to be happening every single other turn, kind of like strategic advantage. But it's definitely a strategic advantage juiced up when you finally do use it. I mean, the kit looks solid, guys. It looks solid. Is it going to counter Galactic Legends, Rey and Kylo? I can't put that statement out there. I don't think it's fair to put that statement out there because, one, the requirements are not as steep, with the exception of Wampa and Hermit Yoda, really, and dumping out your guild event token creates. For veteran players, Wampa and Hermit Yoda at 7 stars shouldn't be a problem. If you're someone that started more in the past year or two, that might be a lot more difficult for you to obtain, especially if you want to get General Anakin Skywalker and Malik. But there are some things in this kit that make me believe that at the minimum, with the right Jedi team, like for example General Anakin Skywalker, Hermit Yoda, you should be able to form some good Jedi team to counter Kylo and Rey. Is it going to be the predominating team? Hard to say at this point. At the minimum, I'm expecting to at least be a counter to Galactic Legends, Rey and Kylo. And that kind of leads us into our last piece of our conversation. We're going to kind of come back serious. We kind of did the first part of the video with the happy face, kind of going about it with our normal way. Let's be honest here. A lot of you guys rely on the entertainment, firstly, from the legendary unlocks. All of you guys seem to love it. Is this going to be the first time that I don't make a legendary unlock video? Are we going to let Capital Games win and take what is probably the most valuable and one of my most entertaining pieces of content for my community? I want you guys to let me know down below, because I already said, I mean, personally, I have been attacked by Capital Games. We've been hurt. The community's been ignored. But here's the thing. As we kind of brought up time and time again, a lot of people rely on this channel to see how good the new characters are. Should you go after Gas or Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker? This is going to be an important video to kind of see, the test of Luke Skywalker. Should you go after Rey Kylo, or should you go after Luke Skywalker? Without videos that are getting to the masses, I fear that if I don't wail on these characters, the coverage for these characters are going to be pretty darn low. And then people are going to kind of go into these characters clueless, not knowing what they're getting into, not knowing after giving Relic 3 to Lando and then Han Solo and Rebel Officer Leia Organa, they realize that Luke isn't turning out as good as they wanted him to be. So I want to bounce the question to you guys. I know that I've been screwed by Capital Games. I don't think they're going to fix this in any sort of way. Should we let that ruin the rest of the content that I provide for my audience out there? You guys let me know down below. At the end of the day, I don't make videos for Capital Games. Never has been that point. There's always been resentment towards Capital Games. Every single time I make videos, it's been buried. I kind of hide it away. But should we let them win and not do our big videos and our normal routine of having just a good time, making a top tier legendary unlock video, which you guys can hopefully see the minimum requirements that I can do it at, because I'm not going to Relic 7 Captain Han Solo. You hopefully give you a guide on how to do the event. So when you guys go about this event in the future, you guys have a video to, one, enjoy watching, and secondly, get the helpful advice that you need for knocking out this legendary event with the minimum requirements possible. And I guess the other thing is, know how good the character is so you can make a decision in your farming guide lifestyle. You guys let me know down below. At the end of the day, I make videos for you guys. And I will say, it'll break my heart if we don't make a legendary unlock video for the first time ever. So that's why I want you guys to know that I'm here doing whatever you guys want, despite what Capital Games does for me, which probably won't be anything, and I don't expect anything. I want to make sure that I keep providing the content you guys are here for, because let me tell you, we've always had bad beef with Capital Games for a long time, but we've always had a good time, and we've ignored the fact that Capital Games runs this game, and we're here to party and have a good time at the Kyra Club, which is open 25/8. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like if you did enjoy the video, comment down below on your thoughts on the requirements, the kit, what is he going to be good against, and of course, my last point of topic, should we just go ahead and do our normal routine so you guys can have the entertainment and info that you need? Would love to hear your thoughts. Gary's here all day. I'm here 25/8. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Gary, roll out the outro.